So at the minute we've already learnt about glucose and its constituent glycogen and other forms. Now we are going to learn about ATP, and if glucose was as powerful as a gunshot, ATP is probably as powerful as a hydrogen bomb. Just the amount of energy that it can release in a single go is far superior to something like glucose. So what is ATP? Well, it's made up of three constituent parts. The first being adenine. This molecule is effectively a modified DNA strand. And we can see that as well with the pentose sugar that's connected directly to the adenine. And then this sugar is connected to three phosphate groups. The bonds between phosphates are extremely energy dense, and upon breaking and forming new bonds with hydrogen, creating a separate phosphate group, you can see that the energy released by creating these new compounds is going to be extremely high compared to something like breaking down glucose. The equation that we usually say occurs here is that water and ATP come together to form an ADP, which is an adenine diphosphate compared to an adenine triphosphate, plus a PI, and the PI stands for a phosphate group. With that knowledge, what do you suppose this reaction is? Quite clearly another hydrolysis reaction. The reason ATP is such a valuable molecule is that it's very, very small compared to other long-stranded molecules and very energy dense, as we've discussed previously. And because of that, it can move freely in and out of cells, and two important parts and energy demanding parts of the body to release this energy to give the cells the required energy needed to perform certain reactions and metabolic reactions. Along with that, ATP can be reformed through respiration and other metabolic reactions, and because of that it's a renewable source. However, it's not entirely quick to perform a condensation reaction between a phosphate group and a ADP group. Because of that, when we run out of ATP in our bodies, or when we become deficient in it in certain areas, we can get cramp in that area, which will be a topic for muscles in a later chapter. After exercise and using up ATP, our bodies will synthesize more by breaking down glucose in respiration reactions, which we will also come to learn about. Finally, there are two important enzymes that you have to learn about, and that's ATP synthase and ATP hydrolase. ATP hydrolase, by its name, is used within reactions that require the breakdown of ATP, so it's hydrolysis reaction. ATP synthase is used in the condensation reaction for ATP to be formed from ADP and the PI. Not only can ATP give energy to other cells, it can also change the way that transport proteins work. Transport proteins are vital for actively transporting a substance from one side of a cell membrane to the other. Through the use of the phosphate group that's released through ATP hydrolase, our bodies are able to use that phosphate group to phosphorylate the edges of this protein gate and open them, allowing substances through that otherwise would be stuck on one side of the cell membrane.